Hello, guys. Lindsay Noel here, Conscious Channel, Akashic Records reader, and healer. I'm showing up today. I want to share a little bit about grid work, what it means to be a grid worker, why some people feel the call towards it, the intentions and impacts it can have on humanity, and a couple practices on how to start doing grid work if you feel the call. So, grid work has been around for eons, right? People who typically feel the call to do grid work on Earth have been doing grid work on other planets or in other star systems and other planetary systems for thousands and thousands of years, and are interdimensionally typically still operating multidimensionally and doing grid work on other planets as well. So there are energetic ley lines that cross through the Earth, all over the Earth. And there is a unified field of consciousness that connects to the unity consciousness grid. This grid essentially amplifies the energy and the inner knowing that we all have of oneness, of interconnectedness, of our intentional unity that we are supposed to bring about here and essentially return to remembering on planet Earth as our truest state, right? Duality, separation, these are constructs of a mind that is not necessarily connected to the highest divine truth. So a few things about the grid. There's so much that I could say here. When we connect to the unity consciousness grid, we help others to, again, it's like a golden thread of light, and we help others to really feel that vibration, to feel revitalized, renewed. We're able to send energy from here all the way to foreign countries and faraway places. We're able to connect and send source energy, source love, Christ consciousness, Sophia consciousness through this grid so that others may feel the vibrancy of what it means to be supported and abundant and free in this life. You'll find at a lot of the intersections of the ley lines, of the crossing of the ley lines, there are natural habitats, sacred sites, beautiful wonders of the world. There are also protectors whose jobs are to stay in those ley lines and those spaces and protect the field and the grid. There are many spiritual beings who feel called to these energetic centers, like they've been there before and they don't know why because they've never visited, or they just have this inkling that they should be at this sacred site or at this energetic space on the planet. And it's because a lot of the time that some of their energy is still seated there from the grid work that they have done, whether this lifetime or past lifetimes. So essentially a couple practices to get you started with grid work, if it does feel something of interest to you, is anywhere that you want to do this, whether you're out in nature, anywhere you feel called to do this, whether it's in your home, ensure that when you are dropping down your cord of connection into the grid and you are ascending up and connecting to your cord of source consciousness, your pillar of light, your connection to your oversoul, soul star, the highest frequency of consciousness. So pulling that through your channel, ensure that you set the intention strongly to connect to the unity consciousness grid. Unfortunately, there are dark energies and entities at play that create false grids or that create almost like holes or tears in the unity consciousness grid. They look like these black hole spaces. And the intention is, of course, to, halt the evolution of new earth and higher consciousness and ultimate unconditional love. But that's what light workers are here for, right? Is to do this work. So wherever you find yourself, go ahead and set the intention to connect to the unity consciousness grid. And you can then, of course, bring through this source consciousness energy, this higher light energy, this divine frequencies, unconditional love. And I like to pause for a moment personally and actually let this charge in my heart space. So setting it with the crystalline highest intention of pure love, allowing this energy from source to charge in my heart space, and then moving this down through, whether it's really however you want to experience this. It's energy work. So whatever feels best in your body and your experience. But moving this energy down through, whether it's envisioning it descending out through your limbs, down through your feet, through your hands, or if you just envision, a long cord of energy dropping down from your root into the unity consciousness grid and sending that source energy down. And you can send intentions, right? The world is a tricky and at times the word terrifying is coming through place right now. And we need more than ever to be remembering our unity, our interconnectedness, our infinite oneness, the universal law of one. And so sending this energy down, sending it through the unity consciousness grid, and just beginning to envision as it ripples out in effect. In one of my past lives, I truly just traveled from site to site. I had a hawk who was with me at all times, and I had a giant staff, and I would just travel from site to site, and I would set the staff down, and the ripples would go out through the grid, through the grid, through the grid. So often when I'm sitting and I'm practicing grid work, I will just connect to that dimensional version of myself and envision and imagine in my heart's eye and my mind's eye that I am still using that staff and sending these higher light frequencies out through the grid. You can ask to be seen if there are any holes or, black spots or tears within the grid, and you can start to actually do work to repair that, whatever that looks like for you. If it's sending light, sending energy, sending frequency, actually interweaving the connectedness once again with your mind and your heart. You are so supported by source, by other beings, by galactic beings in this work, and of laying the grid on earth here and strengthening the grid. Another thing you can do is charging crystals or stones. I like to charge my water with source energy. And then, of course, either planting it deep within the earth in certain places or dropping the water in certain places or other water places, and just allowing that to ripple out from there as well. Another thing to remember is, again, there are false grids that are laid. Let me see how they want to say this. There are false grids that people think, are people protected? Yes. So people are protected from these through strong energy currents. But these grids are laid with the intention to keep us in separation, to keep us in duality, to keep us asleep, forgetting, not remembering our true nature. And some of them are underneath some pretty big cities, right? So you can imagine sometimes when you step into a certain place and you feel the energy of stress and anxiousness and fear, and it's almost like it's not yours, but it's being fed to you, it's surrounding you. And so that is how dark energy can work at times. So when it comes to the false grids, we just send energy there, we send light there. We send strong currents through the unity consciousness grid with the intention of dismantling these. So that's kind of like next steps. I would start off small with the, intention to bring the energy through and allow that to ripple out with your own sacred intention, your heart chakra charging, whether that's through crystals, stones, your own body, your own channel. And just know that it is really beautiful work. It's incredibly rewarding work in ways that you would never really think about. But these ley lines span across the globe. So pay attention to your intuition, to where you are feeling called to go. And know that a lot of the time when you land on these ley lines, there is massive healing and renewal there for you. So just as much as you are giving to the grid is giving to you in this cyclical spiral style energy. So I hope this is a great introduction to grid work for you. And of course, let me know in the comments below if you try out any of these practices in your room, out in the wild, and what the experience is like for you. All right, sending love.